And the most important thing is to be consistent and repetitive. Like if you want a child to learn new words, you have to be repetitive with it.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. Today we have Rebecca Zolo, who is a speech pathologist, and she teaches baby sign language. So this has been a highly requested subject to have on, and I'm so excited to ask her all the questions. So obviously, if you're listening to this as a podcast, I am going to recommend that you, when you have the time, to watch the video as well, because she's going to be showing us some very important signs that you can start teaching your baby today. Also check out her Instagram, it's babysignnj. So today we're going to be talking about all of the key benefits that come along with teaching your child sign language. So without further ado, here's my interview with Rebecca Zolo. Welcome, Rebecca, and thanks for being here.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. I can't wait just to dive in. So first, just to get started, just tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
I'm a speech language pathologist. I've been doing it for about 10 years. I started off my career working with babies age 0 to 3. So 0 like babies, and then up to age 3, which is the crucial point for language development. And so what I was noticing during my time working with these kids was that sign was helping them communicate so much. And when I first started, I really didn't know much about it because we didn't have a course in grad school about baby sign language. They touched upon it like maybe one day for one lesson, not even a full lesson. But then when I started working with these kids, I realized that not only was sign helping decrease the frustration, but the kids that I was teaching it to were speaking faster than the kids that weren't learning signs. Some parents were against it for whatever reason. So, you do what the parent wants and you don't teach it. But for the kids that I was able to teach some signs to, they were speaking faster actually. So that was the amazing part. And then when I started diving into the research, there's a lot of research out there that says that baby sign language does speed up language acquisition. So that's really cool.
Wow, that's awesome. I know when I was reading about what you did and how it really helps people or helps babies kind of get out what they want to say before they can actually say it. I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
What age do you normally recommend parents start kind of teaching basic signs to their babies?
Babies can start actually understanding sign at about 4 months. So as early as 4 months, they can start understanding it. And then they usually can start signing back at around 6 to 7 months. So I always say, if you want to start as early as possible. Don't worry about that 4-month window or anything like that. Start as early as possible because, I always relate it to the fact that if a child is born hearing impaired, would their parent hesitate to sign to them earlier on than the 4 months? No, they would start right away, just like we start talking to our babies right away. So I just say start as soon as you can. And by about 4 months is when you'll see that they can kind of start understanding it. And you can expect it to take about 6 to 12 weeks for them to start signing back. But don't give up. Some babies take longer, some babies do it quicker. Everyone's different, but don't give up.
So what do you think are the most important signs to get started with? Like, let's say someone listening wants to start with their 4-month-old. What are the basic signs to start with?
The signs that I recommend starting with are the ones that really help you get out your wants and needs. So I always start with the sign more, because you always want more. Babies always want more of something, and they want to be able to tell you that they want more of something. So this is the sign more. And that's a good sign. That's always my number one that I go with, because you want them to be able to request more food. You want them to be able to request, if they want more stuffed animals or more toys, or, if they don't have enough clothing on, you want them to be able to request more water in the bath if they want it, things like that. So that's a basic need that they can get met. The other sign that I recommend is all done, which is like this, all done. And that helps with babies having some sort of say in when they're done with an activity. So, when they're full and they don't want any more food, they can tell you that they're all done. When they're done with toys and they're ready to clean up and move on to something else, they can tell you that they're all done. And that actually also helps with transitions, because babies and toddlers have a hard time with transitioning, especially if they really like an activity. So if you teach them the sign all done, and if you teach them the concept of all done early on and you prepare them for that, then they'll have an easier time understanding like, okay, we're done now, we're moving on to a different activity. So it also helps with that. And then eat, of course, eat is one that I recommend, because then they can ask you for food when they're hungry, and drink if they're thirsty, and always milk. And milk goes for nursing moms, it goes for formula, any type of milk related is just this sign, milk. So when they're 5-6 months and they want to request their milk or they want to nurse, they can do this. So those are the 5 signs that I recommend starting with.
Wow, that's so interesting, and that's really cool to be able to communicate with babies so young too. Yeah, as I say, like, I'm sure, like in those first months, being able to sign, it's almost a relief from the parent a little bit to be able to understand a little bit more.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you talk about one of the main benefits of teaching sign language being that, they can start, a lot of times they show that they're able to speak a little bit quicker, understand language quicker. So what are some other benefits of learning sign language at a young age?
So that's a benefit, is that it facilitates speech and language development. Another benefit is that there has been some research that has actually shown that babies who were taught sign did better academically in elementary school than babies who were not taught sign. So there is an impact on future academics, which is pretty cool, I think, because when you teach them signs early on, you're teaching them the concept of learning vocabulary and all this stuff. So they get a sense of, okay, this is how I learn, this is how I understand the world, I'm learning new words. And so they have that early on. And so they take it with them later. So that's a pretty cool benefit. And the other benefit is that it actually helps with parent-child bonding, because when you're teaching them sign language, you're really in tune with their gestures. Like anything that the baby does, you look right at them to see if they're signing, if they're doing what you've been teaching them. So not only are you more attentive to them when you're doing it, but they're more attentive to you and your response, because when they sign something and they see your response, they want to do it more, because they aim to please just like anyone else, so they want to please you. They want you to laugh. They want you to smile. So they'll do it more. So they're looking at you, you're looking at them. So it really increases the bond.
So when it comes to teaching your infant sign language, what are some tips for parents listening? So do you show them first? Do you move their hand so they understand the movement? What are kind of some tips there?
The first thing that you would do is you would show them the sign and you would say the word. So you're always going to say the word when you're introducing the sign. And even when you've already introduced it many times, you're still always going to say the word, because this is done to decrease frustration. It's not being taught to replace verbal language. So you're always going to say the word, and you're still going to want to make them say the word as well when they can. You don't just want to sign, hey, do you want your, you want to say, hey, do you want your milk? Because you want them to be able to sign it, but you still want to say the word because you're a speaking person, so you want to be able to say the word. And so you show it to them, you say the word, and then you follow through with whatever it is. So if you're asking them if they want their milk, usually if you're introducing the sign, it's going to be around the time that it's time for their milk. So you want to ask them, hey, do you want your milk? I'm going to give you your milk now. And you bring it to them, or however you want to, if you're nursing or if it's a bottle, you follow through with whatever you're doing. The same thing as if you're doing all done, you want to start off with, I don't necessarily recommend starting off with meals and saying all done, because they're going to tell you they're all done if they're not feeling the food, or you don't want to start off with that, because you want to be able to follow through. So if they say they're all done and you continue to give them their food, that's going to show them that my sign is meaningless. I'm not getting what I want. So maybe when you start with all done, you start with like toys and activities. So like, okay, we're all done. We're going to clean up your toys now, and then move on to a different activity. But so show the sign, say the word, and then make sure you follow through with what you're doing so that you can show them what it actually means.
You talk about 0 to 3 years is a good time to kind of implement this. When it comes to, teaching sign to a baby that's, 4 months versus 2.5, would you teach them differently, or would you start with different words, or is it kind of all the same?
No, I would definitely start off with the most important ones. If you're teaching a baby, I would start off with those most important ones. If you're teaching a 2.5-year-old, I would definitely still start with those most important ones. And just since every child is unique and you're the mom or you're the dad, you know your child best. So you want to really do signs that are the most important, the things that are the most important to them. So you want to do those, more and all done and eat, obviously, because those are the necessities. But then you want to teach them the things that are most important. Like, for example, if the 2.5-year-old has a car that they love, a toy car, you can teach them the sign for car, or if they have a teddy bear that they love, or if they go to sleep with a specific blanket, you can teach them those signs. The signs that are important to them that that they want to request, but maybe if they're a nonverbal 2.5-year-old or they're speech delayed, you can teach them those signs that that they want to request those things, so that it can decrease their frustration.
So someone's listening to this and they're like, I want to, get started.
Mm-hmm.
What are the best ways? And you kind of mentioned those most important words. So the best ways for them to kind of start slowly instilling sign language into their daily life.
I recommend doing it through routines. In my course, I talk about routines that you do every single day that you can implement the signs in. And so, for example, mealtime is definitely a routine, and it's a routine that we all do every single day. We do it multiple times a day. So that's a good time to start teaching signs like more, all done, eat, drink. You can teach those during mealtime. Another routine that you do every single day is the bedtime routine. So during that routine is when you can teach them bedtime signs. You can incorporate more, all done, all of those signs into the bedtime routine as well. You also have the bath time routine where you can teach signs like more, all done. You can teach, if they have different toys that they put into the bathtub, you can teach them those signs. So I recommend starting during routine, doing it during the routines and not just randomly. Of course, if you're outside and you want to ask them if they want more of something, implement it and be repetitive all the time. But when you're just starting out, during the routines is the best time to start.
And to kind of go along with that, this might be the same question or very similar, but especially for teaching your children something new can kind of be overwhelming at first. So what are your tips just for parents to keep on with it as they're kind of going through the process, tips for them to, encourage this new way of communicating?
So definitely just be motivated about it, be repetitive and be consistent, and know that it's for a good cause and there are a lot of benefits to it, and don't give up, don't get discouraged. For the parent, if you're not seeing the signing back, don't get discouraged. It takes a little longer for some kids, but they're definitely absorbing it and they're taking it in. So it's definitely beneficial. So that's, just the motivating factor of it. Stay motivated. You'll do it. You're doing great. If you're starting it, you've already done what you need to do, and just keep going. And the most important thing is to be consistent and repetitive. If you want a child to learn new words, you have to be repetitive with it. That's the only way that they're going to learn the new word, right? They need to be exposed to it multiple times in order to learn it. So be repetitive, during meal times, pick a couple of signs, don't overwhelm yourself. People always ask me, is my child going to be overwhelmed if I start teaching them too many signs? Babies are not going to be overwhelmed. Their brain is like a sponge. They can take in anything at that age. 0 to 3, it's a sponge. They're absorbing everything. What I say is do what doesn't overwhelm you as the parent. So if you want to pick 4 signs to work on initially, pick 4. If you want to pick 3, you want to pick even 1, do what doesn't overwhelm you as the parent, but stay motivated and don't get discouraged.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I love all of the benefits that can come from it. I think that's awesome, because I think so many times, it's hard to know exactly what your baby wants, especially, in those first few months. How long do you think it usually takes kids, or do you typically see, for them to pick up a couple signs?
About 6 to 12 weeks from the introduction of the sign is when they should pick it up, as long as you're being consistent with it. 6 to 12 weeks. Of course, some are going to be quicker, and also depends on the age. So I say 6 to 12 weeks is if you start with, around a 4 or 5 month old, since they can start signing back around 6 to 7 months, that's about, 6 to 12 weeks from the introduction. But if you start with an older child, it might be a little bit faster, depending on at what age you start and what they're taking in and how quickly they're absorbing it.
Where can people find you on Instagram, and what kind of other courses and options you have for parents wanting to learn more?
My Instagram handle is BabySignNJ. So BabySignNJ. And I have a pre-recorded course. I do live courses once in a while, but since I have people following me from all, different countries and everything like that, I did a pre-recorded course because it's hard for people to come to a live course if they are, 12 hours away, and their time difference and everything. So I have a pre-recorded course. It's called Baby Signing for Baby Shining, and it is self-paced. It has 6 modules, and it teaches you how to do and teach the signs during routines. So that's the link there is on my Instagram, but I always put out a thing that says, drop your email here if you want information about the course, and then I'll just email the information as well.
Cool. And yeah, and I noticed you have like a lot of cool songs with signs to help parents and babies remember different signs as well.
That is what I do in my course. I teach the songs with the signs because the songs are very helpful with just the parent being able to remember the sign. So that's why I created it, because it was, for me, even helpful to, teach myself a song and to teach the sign. So that's why I'm doing it that way.
So this is so interesting to me. Like I said, we never had anything like this on our show before. And I always want to, try to get people from different areas that teach different things for our moms. So this was great. I always like to end all these interviews with, I call them fun thinking questions. And so if you could have a billboard made today where you could share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
I would just say stay calm and keep going, stay calm. I'm a mom. I have 3, I have 4-year-old twins and a 2-year-old. So I would like to give myself that advice as well. Stay calm. It's hard. We all lose it all the time. I lose it all the time, multiple times a day. So stay calm. It's all going to work out. Hopefully, I'm in the early stages, so I don't know, but hopefully it will work out.
What is one piece of advice that you wish you were told when you were first a mom?
I feel like a lot of people say this. They say, accept help. Like when someone offers you help, accept the help. I never asked anyone for help. And I never, when somebody was like, go sleep, I'll watch your kid, I never accepted the help. I always wanted to do everything myself, mainly because I was a nervous wreck. So I didn't trust anybody to do anything for me. So that's one of the reasons. And I also didn't know if everybody had good intentions, but I think that the advice that I would give a new mom and also give myself back then was, people do have good intentions, accept the help and rest as much as you can, because you need the rest to be a good mom.
Yeah.
So
I think that's great advice. So then again, just again, for everyone that either might have missed it or needs to hear it again, what's your Instagram handle and what's the name of your course?
So my handle is BabySignNJ, because I live in New Jersey. My course is called Baby Signing for Baby Shining.
Awesome. I love it. Cool. And like I said, I'll get your link below as well. And so everyone can check it out there. And guys, definitely check out Rebecca on Instagram, because your signing is awesome. I was watching some of the videos. I was like, this is so interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cool. And I just think all the benefits that you speak about are so important too. So
yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Hey guys, if you found this or any episode of Mom Talks with Krista helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share it with your friends. We release new videos every single Wednesday, and our new podcast is out every single Thursday. So lots of different ways you can catch us. And of course, if you're not following us on our socials, go ahead and follow us there. We've got tons of new content for you every single day. And finally, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you're doing a great job. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.